County Mental Health and Substance Abuse. And in particular, I'm the coordinator of the Substance Abuse Task Force for Berry County. I've been in my job. Last week I celebrated my 24th year. I was one of those people that was hired at age 10. So, I've been working in the area of substance abuse for a long time. And over those 24 years, I'm going to go ahead and start, just introduce myself real quick. And if everybody has the M&Ms, I think the peanut M&Ms are gone. I think you all prefer peanut to plain. If you want my peanut, you can have my peanut M&Ms. If that's, do you need the peanut M&Ms?
No, I'm fine. I just was sharing.
All right, thank you.
Oh, everybody has them. Okay, well, there's a little bit left then.
So I don't want to bore you with repetition, but I'm Liz Lenz. I work for the Berry County Community Mental Health Authority, and I coordinate the Substance Abuse Task Force. And I was sharing with you, some of you, that I've had my job for 24 years, and over the course of that time, I've worked on the administrative side, which is kind of boring. I've worked, no offense, but I've worked on the clinical side, where I've actually helped people get to treatments or figured out what was going on and helped them get to the point where they were ready and willing and able to accept help. I've worked with women who have been in a women's empowerment group. Many of those women were experiencing separation from their children and were working hard to get reconnected and rejoined and familiarized with their children, or basically get their custody back. And then most recently, and for probably the longest time, I worked in the area of prevention. And I really feel passionate about that. And so we're going to talk today. I'm going to try to keep it really active. This is a big group, so I'm excited about that. And we're going to be moving around a little bit. So if moving around for you is not great, then you'll want to sit on this side of the table. So, sir, if you might want to be, when we do our activity, I'll put you on this end of the table. And that way, then you folks over there are going to be doing more of the moving. I hope that's okay. If anyone doesn't want to do that, just let me know. So, the reason why you have M&Ms is I want you to take your M&Ms and pour them out in front of you, and whatever you have most of one color, and we're going to put a limit on 3 things here, because we got a lot of people. We got to go around the table pretty quickly. We all know who took the most M&Ms, don't we? All right. Now, one of the things I want to do is I quickly want to go around the room. I want you to tell me your name, the ages of your children, who you're parenting, because I know some of you are parenting children that probably are your grandparents, or maybe you're parenting your niece or nephew. So I want you to tell me your name. That's the first thing. The second thing is the ages of the children that you're caring for. And then for that third M&M, something unusual about you. So and you can eat all the M&Ms. We were going to originally do where you had to do all, if we had a smaller group, but we're going to move through it. Who would like to start?
She does.
All right, we're going to start with Jerry. We're going to go around the table that way. We're going to come around. We don't want to make this an hour-long presentation, folks, because we got a lot to do. So name, ages of children, and something unusual about you.
My name is Jerry Paddock, and the ages of our children are, now listen to this, 8, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15.
Yeah.
We have 6. I say that a lot. And it's unusual for a 76-year-old man to be parenting that many kids.
All right. Okay, thank you.
My name is Jessica Peeler. I have an 8-year-old son.
Could be anything you want us to know.
Change of life this year.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Jessica, you said?
Yes.
Thank you.
My name's Amanda, and I have a 7-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son, and I love to work.
All right. You love to work. All right.
My name is Lori Radcliffe. I have a 19-year-old, almost a 17-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 3-year-old. And I like doing spontaneous.
Okay. Thank you, Lori.
My name is Deb, 27-year-old, 25 and 18.
Okay. What's something unusual about you, Deb?
Unusual.
You don't know? Nothing unusual?
I can't think of anything right now.
Okay.
My name is Deb, and I'm going to start out with unusual. I don't have any kids. I work in the doctor's office, and I'm doing this as an observance for what I can do for my some of our patients and their families.
Wonderful, thank you. We have Deb and Deb, okay. Now, if your name is Deb, we're gonna start.
My name is Joanne, and I have 2 children, Swain and Brandon, 14 and 16.
Okay.
And I have a pet rooster.
You win. All right.
My name's Swan. I really don't take care of any kids. And I really like bugs.
Okay, thank you, Suzanne.
I'm Brandon, I'm 16, and I like to draw.
Okay, thank you.
My name's Sandy, and I'm taking care of the same 6 children that Jerry is taking care of. And the unusual thing about me is that I've been married to Jerry for 53 and a half years.
And you're still seeing it.
I would not claim to say that.
All right, my name is Jana.
That's great. I was supposed to say you.
My husband has 2 kids, so I'm a step parent of 8 and 10-year-old, and I'm also a preschool teacher for 2.5 to 3.5. And what's unusual about you being a preschool teacher?
Yeah, I guess.
My name is Kay. I'm married. I have 2 teenage boys, but I also work in a daycare where we're in charge of 13 to 14 kids that have a teacher assistant. And unusual. I worked at a ski resort and I was afraid to ski.
Hey, I don't think of anything, so.
My name's Alice Frizzek, and we're married. I have a 5-year-old who's almost 6, a 4-year-old, and then 2 14-year-old boys. They're twins, they're all boys. And the unusual thing is that my husband's 15 years older than me.
All right.
I'm Len, and obviously 14, 6, well, almost 6 and 4. And the unusual thing, I guess I was crazy enough to have 2 more boys. They're all boys.
It did take 8 years after the twins, however, right? Yeah, okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Debbie, and I have 4 young boys. I have a 2 12-year-olds, which are stepbrothers, and then I have an 11-year-old and a 4-year-old. So I have 2 boys that are both, well, they're both 11, they're both 11, and they're both in 6th grade at St. Rose, but they are not brothers. So they're not, you know. Something unusual about me is, I don't know, I'm really excited. I just found out that the 6th McDonald's is now using my presentation that I created and trained and I created myself and put on PowerPoint and presented to 4 of their stores in Lansing. I've now found out it's opened up to 2 new of their stores, and I don't get a penny of it. So, but anyways, I'm excited that it's at least my legacy lives on. Hopefully my boys will do.
My name is Deb. No, I'm kidding. I'm Luann. My kids are 27, 24, and 21. But I work at school and we take care of a lot of little ones, and I teach 2-year-olds at church. Unusual about me is I work with her. I don't know.
All right, and Luann, I'm going to go back to this gentleman.
My name is Carl. One little fellow, 1.5 years, Desi, and I'm married to that lady right there for over 30 years. I'm 20 years older than she is. 10 years she's.
No, 10 years.
10 years. I'll say 10.
Sometimes it feels like 20,
Thank you, Carl. All right, we're saying our name, ages of our children, and something unusual about us.
My name is Sue Tedrow. I have 2 girls, both of them in college, Kristen and Shelby. Something unusual about me. Luann, you want to chime in?
She works with her too.
Okay.
My New Year's resolution is to declutter my home, so. Yeah.
You're already decluttered.
Oh, no. I'm major decluttering, and my 19-year-old daughter
is my inspiration.
Okay.
She
My-
keeps-
Okay.
My name is Judy. I have 3 sons, 26, 27, and 28. And I work at Lee Elementary. We do daycare before school, and then we stay all day with kids. And very unusual, I guess it is I live in a log cabin, but that's not no big deal.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. All right. Thank you, Judy.
My name is Kate. I have 4 children, 21, 9, 7, and 23 months. And that's unusual enough. But the unusual thing is the first 3 are by adoption, and my 23-month-old was my happy 40th year pregnant surprise.
That was a good surprise.
Yeah.
And he has red hair.
And he has red hair.
We love him.
All right.
My name is Jancy, and my husband and I have 6 kids all together, and we have raised them. They're out of the house. Now we have taken on 2 kids that are my great niece and nephew, but they call us Grandma and Grandpa because we got them when they were little, and we're going to adopt them. That's the process. And let's see, I guess I'm a jack of all trades.
Jancy?
Jancy.
Nice to meet you.
Unusual name.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
My name's Norm, and Dana and I have 6 kids between us,
Okay.
and I like to ride motorcycles.
Thank you, Norm.
My name's Dana, and I have 6 kids, all grown out of the house, but I miss my McDonald's job.
Okay. Dana and I worked at McDonald's together probably, 20-some years ago.
Right?
Yeah. Just even 20-some.
And you started at 5.
McDonald's was in a log cabin, Judy. All right. Thank you, Dana.
And I'm Suzanne, and we have a little guy, Desi, who's a year, or is about today he's 17 months old, so. And we have 4 grown children, 8 grandchildren, and we're adopting our 8.5-year-old.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Shelly Martin, and I have a 3-year-old, and I race Siberian Huskies.
All right, let's see. I'm still Liz. I am actively currently parenting a 19-and-a-half-year-old who thinks he's almost 20, and that's big. And then I also am parenting a 17-year-old who, the thing that's unusual about me is that I am married to a farmer. I'm one of the last true farm wives in the world, and I have 4 dogs. And I love dogs, and I would have way more if I was able. So, well, thank you. I have to say that I've already learned a lot just from having this exchange. I think that some of you walked in and you said, oh, we're set up different. I'm not going to be lecturing as much as I'm going to be showing and hopefully open some doors. Let me say this, my conversation with my husband on the way here, as I was on my cell phone driving, which maybe I'm not supposed to do, was, I wasn't a very good parent today. So I am in the throes of parenthood along with many of you, and many of you are caretaking children in child care situations, or you're parenting children who have come to you through things like taking care of your grandchildren or your grandnephew and grandniece, and I just really applaud you, and I have a lot of respect for all the things that you already shared. So I wanted to say this. Obviously, you can't go home, or you can't go to the daycare that you work at tomorrow, or you can't go to the before school or the after school program and just sit down and do that. But those questions that we asked, they were not yes or no questions. They were not, did you do your homework? They were not, how was school today? Good. They were open-ended questions where you really got some great feedback from people about different things. And maybe it was a little harder for some people to talk if you're more introverted, but they were hopefully very non-threatening questions. And I think if I just let you go, you guys would still be talking on some of those questions. And I saw a lot of smiling, I saw a lot of laughter, I saw a lot of opening up. Those are all tools that we can use with people. And if you walk away with one skill, it doesn't matter what age child you're working with or what age child you're parenting, we need to, as parents or as caregivers, start to ask the open-ended questions. So an example of this would be, Instead of saying, did you have a good day today at school? Or how was daycare today? Or how was recess, or did you have fun at recess? Ask questions like, oh, list the things that you did today at recess. So when you say list, the child that you're taking care of knows that you want to hear a conjunctive list of things. I played on the swings, my friends and I stood on the wall and talked. I didn't get to go to recess because I got in trouble. Oh, tell me about that, So when we start to use open-ended questions, we really start to get to the heart and the soul of the matter. Too many times we're so fast-paced. Did you let the dog out? Yes. Okay. Did you let the dog back in? No. So maybe the question we need to ask is, where is the dog? I don't know might be the answer you get. So just start to think about it. It's one of the things that I always encourage parents to do is to stop asking the closed questions, which is the yes or no answers, but start asking the open-ended questions. When I heard some good things, but I put that question in there about share about what you were told as a young person. Does anybody feel comfortable sharing what they shared with the group? Yes.
We were told nothing.
Nothing.
They drank around us, smoked.
Yes.
It was nothing.
Okay.
They didn't even know if we were half the time.
Okay. So we didn't get talked to at all.
Nope.
And if we didn't get talked to, we might have seen our parents using alcohol or tobacco. Both my parents were smokers until I turned 16. I always share this. I was an asthmatic child. I had bronchitis. I was hospitalized a lot. I had pneumonia a lot. Both of my parents smoked in the home, in the car, around me all the time. I can remember as a small child, my mom coming to me I was sick, and and I love my mom, and there's nothing wrong with my mom. But my mom actually came in my bedroom, sat down on the side of the bed, smoking a cigarette when I'm having an asthma attack. But I'm 45 years old, so I have to give her that benefit that nobody was talking about the fact that you don't smoke inside the home of a child who has chronic asthma attacks or chronic bronchitis. We're in a different place now where we are hearing messages about if you're a smoker, smoke outside. Don't smoke in the home because it's really going to cause some problems for that child. And most of the time when I work with parents, they're smoking outside, or they've learned, I'm not going to smoke in the car when my children are in the car. Or maybe they don't smoke in the vehicle at all because they recognize that smoke stays in the vehicle.
Isn't it against the law to smoke in the vehicle now?
There was some legislation. I'm not sure it passed. I think it may have passed in Michigan, it may have passed a certain section. Okay? All right. So if your parents didn't talk about it, did anybody share that their parents did talk about it?
Yeah, I laugh because I remember as young as 8 or 9, they would talk about it with me. They would say, if you'd like to drink these wine coolers, you have to stay home. If you don't want to drink, if you'd like to go to your friends, you can't drink. That's what we talk
So
about.
sometimes we put on the parenting, and I'm just going to paraphrase it. Sometimes as parents, we put on the parenting hat and we say, if you're going to drink, you have to drink at home. Or if you're going to smoke, I'd rather have you learn to smoke at home. And so now, in 2014, there's actually a lot of laws on the book that make it so that parents can't say, it's okay if you drink at home, or I'm going to take the keys so your friends don't drive. That may not be enough. So we may have heard some mixed messages. I heard a message in my house which was, your dad and I smoke, your dad and I drink, we don't want you to do those things, and you will not do those things. Okay, so I got a very mixed message, an extremely mixed message. When my 17-year-old brother came home from graduation party and drove his car into the boat, knocked the boat off the trailer, came in the house and threw up slow gin all over the house, including the blue tile bathroom. You all, if you grew up at the same time that I do, you can picture this. I didn't know what had gone on because I had never seen red liquid come out of somebody. I thought he was bleeding. And my mom said, I told you not to drink. And something about that message didn't work. So what we're going to talk about for the rest of tonight is we're going to take a look at some data, and then we're going to put we're going to try to put some skills into our pockets about how we can influence the children that we work with on a daily basis, that we live with, that we nurture, that we love, that we call our own. And you cannot do too much and anything you do is better than doing nothing. You are the largest, most positive resource in children's lives. As I mentioned, I'm currently parenting 17 and a 19-year-old. They don't listen to anything I say, I think. But on my way here, I said to my daughter, she said, "Are you working late tonight?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "What are you talking about?" I said, "I'm talking about how parents can raise kids who are above the influence." And she goes, "Oh, that's easy. Just have them talk to them about not doing things and how everything they do impacts their tomorrows." And I thought, oh my gosh, who said that to her? So again, I didn't ask a closed question. I said, "What do you think I should talk to them about? What should I say?" So she's telling me these things. I mean, have those conversations with the young people in your life. Ask them. You know, an interesting conversation that I had with my son not too long ago is, what should I say to you about this? Because he was talking about some pretty big decisions in his life. And I looked at him and I said, what do you think I should say? How should I respond? And he looked at me and he goes, "Well, I think you should be my mom. You should tell me I shouldn't do that." And I said, "Well, is that going to work?" And he goes, "Probably not, but that's what you're supposed to say." And I said, "Well, what I really want to say," he goes, "What do you really want to say? Tell me." I said, "What I really want to say is that it makes me sad that you're facing this decision." And we got into this really good discussion. We were having kind of a mom and 19-and-a-half-year-old son date at the Chinese restaurant. He ate like 17 plates of food, and I probably ate my fair share too, but it was cheap, so we don't care. And it was a really good conversation. I had to stop myself a couple times from wanting to go, "I told you not to do that," or, you know, "Thou shalt never." I think it's how, I'm not a perfect mom. I'm never going to be a perfect mom. And I would doubt that anybody in this room is going to always do everything just right. But we can do things better. So, thank you for participating with that. Hopefully you'll find a way to ask more open-ended questions with the young people in your life. And Sue Ann, if I can have my chair, is it Sue Ann? Am I getting it right? Sue, okay.
But
Sue
actually,
Ann
my
was
middle
Sue.
name is Ann. So
Oh, you're Sue Ann. Okay. Sue, if I can have my chair back, and I'll let you all go back to your chairs. Actually, I know Shelby, she was one of the teens against tobacco use kids.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we do that too.
Oh, yeah.
Tell her I said hi.
I will.
Now, who would like to be my timekeeper? Remember Sue? Hey, I'm busy. I'm from 11 now. I don't need any of them. I'm really not missing it. Oh, thank you. Do you have one?
Yeah, we do. So as a timekeeper, what are our responsibilities here?
I want you to tell me to zip it in 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Yeah.
So that is, go.
All right. So one of the things that I wanted to talk a little bit about today was data. And because we kind of are dealing with the lights in here, we'll try to do our best. There's not going to be a quiz on this.
Do you want me to turn them off?
Is everyone going to stay awake if we turn the lights off? All right, if someone starts snoring, we get to throw out an at them. Okay.
Make sure my mouth's full.
Woo, look at that. Okay. I think people want to know what's going on in Berry County. And in my job, one of the things we do is we work with all 5 of the public school systems, and we actually poll or survey 7th graders, 9th graders, and 11th graders. And we are in a reporting cycle right now. We call that the 2014 cycle. We won't have a report until July. So this data that you're seeing is actually 2012 data, and I'm going to kind of explain it. And I'm going to let the pictures tell a story, but I'll explain it as best I can. I've got my little mouse here. I don't know if my mouse is going to work. Probably not. So I'll just, oh, no, it doesn't want to work. Okay, so nationally, the percentage of students who reported not drinking in the past 30-day period nationally, 8th graders, it's 89%, 10th grade, 72%, and 12th grade 58%. So that means that roughly 6 out of 10 10th graders nationally have not drank in the last 30 days. So we look at the local data, and you'll see that we polled 7th graders, 9th graders, and 11th graders in a survey called the Michigan Profile for Healthy Youth. And the Berry County data is that out of 7th graders, 96.9% had not drank in the past 30 days. And that's good. We're higher than the national average. 9th grade, 83%. So again, we're 11 points higher than the national average. And you can see that in 11th grade, 71.5, almost 72% of 11th graders in Berry County reported not drinking in the last 30 days. This is unusual because if I were to have asked you what percentage of kids, 11th graders have drank in the last 30 days, you'd probably think it was higher than that. And this is good data. This has been validated. This is a survey that these kids can't really mess up, and they have no reason to not report honestly. So that's a good thing. They're getting the message. Although one of the things that for myself as a substance abuse person that I'm concerned about is that you can see that between 7th grade and 11th grade there's a big difference. Kids are getting older, and the perception of harm is lessening. 72.9% of 11th grade students had never been drunk in their entire lifetime. And amongst 11th grade students in Berry County, 40.9% had never consumed alcohol. So that's good. And then over to the other side, some of the pieces that we just mentioned is that about $30 billion a year in healthcare costs and $235 billion in crime and lost work productivity is attributed to alcohol. So there's a big reason to kind of get on top of this and to talk to your kids about what it might mean, especially those of us who maybe are parenting middle schoolers or high schoolers or college kids. Talk openly about what does safe drinking mean. So if you have someone in your life, even a 25-year-old child, and maybe they do occasionally go out and drink, just talking about, what do you feel is safe drinking? What do you feel is a good behavior? Sometimes I've asked my own kids, they're going to love this, that they're on videotape, me talking about them, but I'll look at them and say, at what age do you think it's safe for you to drink? Or safe, I'll make it real safe, I'll say, at what age do you think it's safe for you and your friends to start drinking? And my kids will kind of look at me and they'll go, well, some of my friends are already drinking. And if it's one of my children, that child will say, I'm not going to drink until I'm 21. And the other child will say, I don't know, if I was with my friends and my friends were all drinking and we weren't driving, maybe I'd feel safe at 20. But I want him to have those conversations with me because I want him to be honest, and I want to be honest back and say, well, if you get caught, an MIP, I want to open up those channels and I want to have that conversation. If I shut down that conversation by being angry and mad and shaming them, or I'm not condoning underage drinking by any means, but if we don't have that honest conversation, they're not going to be open to hearing what I have to say. So just remember, no alcohol for people under the age of 21. Parents, guardians, caretakers, or other adults who do provide alcohol to those under the age of 21 can get themselves into trouble and can go to jail. And they can get a fine of up to $1,000 for a first offense. Most of the time what I see in Berry County is someone who's like 23 years old who 17 and 8-year-olds say to that 23-year-old, hey, could you get us some alcohol? We'll give you, we'll pay for it, plus we'll give you 20 more extra dollars. For some reason, kids don't seem to have a shortage of cash. Or, if you want to go in and buy that alcohol, I'll let you use my debit card. I've heard of that. Sometimes. So, and keeping in mind that if we do allow younger people, 4 more minutes, oh my gosh, I might go over by 5. If we do allow people to drink, we could be held responsible. And then there are safe drinking guidelines for adults, but being that Jana has already told me that I'm overdue here, I want to go to one of the next ones here. So this is the same data on tobacco. And I apologize that it's not projecting bigger, but I just want to let you know that, again, locally and nationally, we are below the national. And I do want to let you know that when these Berry County kids were surveyed, many of them see tobacco use more harmful than marijuana use. Okay. This is the data right here that I want to talk about, where I'm kind of circling that 50%. When we surveyed kids in 7th, 9th, and 11th grade, 50% of kids reported being exposed to secondhand smoke on a daily basis. That really surprised me. 50%, Jerry. Okay? So that means we have some work to do. Maybe, and we have to be careful about that because, you know, I've shared with you, I grew up with smokers. We have to talk to people about, maybe they're not ready to quit smoking, but maybe they are ready to consider smoking while smoking outside or not smoking in the car with their children. We have to kind of ask them, what are you willing to do so that your children are breathing healthier air? And that does take some time to talk about that.
When you do these seminars for little kids at schools, do you tell them that cigarette smoking is more harmful than marijuana smoking?
No, we don't. We don't. Jancy, I have a colleague, one of my people that I work with that works in my department. He's in the school doing substance abuse education in 3rd, 7th, 8th, and then we do a 4th grade program. And we certainly do not.
Just told us not that.
No. These kids actually think tobacco is more harmful than marijuana. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And I could probably talk for 40 minutes about that. And then Jana would be throwing her pen at me. But we are concerned about that. Because kids know that tobacco use is unhealthy for them, but they're getting mixed messages about marijuana. All right, so... Okay, so speaking about marijuana, 63% of Berry County 11th graders have not used marijuana in their lifetime. And we asked them if they'd used in the last 30 days. 98.7 7th graders have not used. 90.39% of 9th graders had not used, and 81.8% of 11th graders had not used in the last 30 days. But over here, this is the part that we're very concerned about. 88.2% of Berry County youth who took the My5 profile for healthy youth felt that regular use of tobacco was harmful, but only 2/3 felt regular use of marijuana was harmful. And that shows us that our children don't understand. And it's because of some of the reasons that you just said. Marijuana is being legalized or decriminalized and in different steps and standards, and it's really confusing. And so I just really encourage you to talk to the children in your lives about the fact that what do they know? What do they understand about tobacco? What do they understand about marijuana? Marijuana can get you in a lot of trouble, and it is an addictive substance. And yet a lot of young people think that tobacco is addictive, but marijuana is not. And we have to work to correct that.
Well, I've heard of medical marijuana, but I've never heard of medical tobacco.
But, you know, even though we're legalized medical marijuana now, is it Colorado that has the...
Yes, January 1st, yeah.
Now, how long do you think that's going to be before everybody else follows suit? You know?
Well, unfortunately, I think it's a trend that we need to be thinking about. We all need to be thinking about how we feel about it.
What is Colorado doing?
Colorado made it recreational use of marijuana legal.
Recreational.
Yep.
From what I heard, they charge about $400 an ounce, 25% goes to the state. So that's a situation of legalized and taxed.
And how many doesn't have to be medical marijuana?
I think that years ago,
All right, so Janet, my timekeeper, is, I think, you know, we could certainly talk about medical marijuana a lot, and it's another topic, and it's one that's very confusing, and but I want to talk about this too, is that prescription medicine abuse is something that we've been keeping our eyes on, and we believe that parents need to be talking about this. Now, what I just want to say about this is, just a show of hands, how many of you lock up your medications every night? Okay? How many of you keep your medications, and we can just be honest, you don't have to answer if you don't want to. How many of you keep your medications out on the counter?
Well, my son is not going to take my hormone pills.
How many of you keep your medications in the kitchen cupboard? How many of you keep them in the bathroom of your house? How many of you keep them in a place where if somebody went into that room, if someone known to you came into your house, they could easily find medications in your house? Okay. All right. All right. So, all I want you to do is have this be a learning moment, that we have substances in our home that are there for good reasons, good medications. Those hormone medications are good medications for you.
Sometimes they don't look very well.
My husband had knee surgery a long time ago, and I was embarrassed to say that he had knee surgery in 2003. And in 2009, I finally got rid of the leftover Vicodins, and I disposed of them properly. So somebody in here tell me about the right way to get rid of unused or unwanted medication.
I flush them out. The pharmacy will take them.
Not the drug. All right.
Police department.
The best thing to do, the best practice, is to take your medications to one of our medicine take-back locations. We have 8 pharmacies in Berry County that have the yellow jug or the West Michigan take-back meds containers. And we have 3 law enforcement agencies that have a drop box called the Be Wise Medicine Box. And it's, if you see this is the take-back. And we can go to our permanent locations. So you also have the household hazardous waste collection dates at the fairgrounds in May and September. And then when those medicines go through those channels, they're actually incinerated, and it does not go into our groundwater, does not go into our drinking water system. So while we can flush them down the toilet or put them in the landfill, it's not recommended because they do leach out into our groundwater and our drinking water. So please, if you can help to be a steward with that and show your children that when we are done with the medication, we take it and dispose of it properly, that's very helpful. And that starts to be a teachable moment with even young children. Though medication is good and helpful, it's not good and helpful to everybody at the same time.
Can I say not only pill form, but liquid form as well now?
Sure.
Lean is a new thing on the street.
Which one?
Lean, they call it lean. It's liquid hydrocodone. That pain reliever, they buy it by the ounce. You put it in a regular soda, you'd never know. I just learned this like 3 weeks ago.
What effect does it have?
If you don't have pain, I would assume it does the same as Vicodin and that, but it's liquid. My daughter got some as liquid when she had surgery.
Yeah.
I disposed of it right away just so other people don't get it.
And you can take your liquid medications to the drop boxes, and a lot of the pharmacies will take those too. It's really important. For some reason, my internet has decided to stop working. But let's see.
Maybe just that page.
You never know. Well, basically, I've shown you some data. So now we kind of need to talk about what we want to do. What time is it?
7:05.
7:05. Okay. So if I were to say to you that we as parents and caregivers are protective factors, who can tell me what I mean by that? I'm just going to, we turn the light back on since the internet is, I'll try to get this back up and running. What does it mean to be a protective factor?
Well, we have to be responsible for the safety of our children and others.
Yes. So what are some of the things that we do in our daily lives at work or at home where we are a protective factor?
Open communication with them.
Okay, open communication, right. Okay.
Washing their hands before they eat.
Yeah, big protective factor during cold and flu season.
Seatbelts.
Seatbelts, huge protective factor.
And do it yourself too, because they watch you more.
Yes.
Good role model.
Yep,
It's
okay.
like in this cold weather. Yeah, if they go outside, bring them back in 20 minutes.
Yeah, make sure they're not outside too long. Make sure they're outside. I will share this with you. My husband and I were unfortunately in a vehicle accident last week. Everyone's okay, thanks for asking. However, the other vehicle, they weren't as okay. Not only did the young man in the back seat not have his seatbelt on, but on Tuesday night when it was minus 10 degrees before the wind chill, he had on t-shirt and shorts and bedroom slippers. Now, he was probably a late teenager, and so probably that ability to say to that child, put on a better coat or something like that might, sometimes you just can't affect that. But small children, I remember one time I was working with a family, and it was probably about 70 degrees out, and the mom had the baby in the car carrier in a snowsuit. And so, again, we just have to be thinking about what is appropriate dress for our children, and that's one way we can be a protective factor. What are some of the risk factors our kids face?
Well, there's factors like peer pressure.
Sure. Yep. How about anybody hearing anything about bullying?
Yes.
That is like the topic du jour. So, okay, I got this back up. All right. So let's, yes.
Lights off?
Yeah, let's throw those lights off for just a second. Okay. So, how many of you use the internet every day? Take your hand. Okay, keep your hand up if you use the internet every day. How many of you use the internet 5 days a week? Okay, how many of you use the internet 2 days a week? How many of you do not use the internet at all? Okay. So what I really want to have you know is that the internet is one of the best and worst tools available to you at any time. Because basically, you can go to the internet and get answers to any question you want. Now, whether it's a good answer, or a mediocre answer, or a bad answer, is where we sometimes have trouble. So I want to show you very quickly, and I'm going to give you a piece of paper before we leave tonight with some of these resources, and I would encourage you to kind of check things out. If you're not using the internet, Jerry, can I pick on you?
Sure.
Okay, why don't you use the internet?
We've had 3 computers. They keep crashing on us.
Okay.
And I just got tired of having my address book wiped out and my data wiped out, and so I said, you know, I got along without it before. I'm going to do it again.
Okay. And I admire that about you. I do admire it. If you don't use the internet at home, do you ever go to the library to use the internet?
No, my wife uses it every day, so if I have a question, I say, Sandy,
Okay.
She researched this for me, and she does very well. She was an English major.
All right. And you said, I'm not trying to pick on you. Why don't you use the internet?
I don't.
You don't use it?
We don't even have a computer.
Okay.
If I need something, we use the library.
Okay, so you do know how to use it? You use the library or?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I feel like he does. I wasn't raised with it, and I don't need it.
And I respect that. One of the things that I do want to say is we are working with young kids, and we are raising young kids. Our kids are using the internet. So I'm not going to put Brandon and Sue Ann on the spot, but I'm going to guess that you use the internet and you are very technology savvy. At school, do you use the internet in school? And they have you do a lot of things like, which school system do you go to? So they have Google Docs and you're on your Google page and different things like that. Okay. So one of the things is that a lot of the world is going to using the internet. And one of the things that we need to think about embracing is some of the resources that are available for us because they aren't as easily accessible on paper or in pamphlet or brochure form. So this is a website called talksooner.org, and this is they actually have an app. They have on Google Store they have an app, and they also have it available on the iPhone. And you can go to this website and it will teach you how to download it. It's an app that has ways to, like those conversation starters, how to talk to your kids, how to talk to the young people in your life. They have a parent page, they have a youth page, they have the apps. And I really encourage people to use this because this is a nice, Berry County is part of this. We're part of, as you see down there, we're part of a 6-county region that's together on this. But they actually have information that is for parents, and we have kind of vetted, if you will, the resources. So we're making sure that you're getting good information. We're not going to put you to a website where we aren't sure about it or we don't think it's good information. Because that's a lot of times what parents will, they'll call me and they'll say, I went on the internet and I looked up, I think my kid is using, Adderall, is using his friend's Adderall, and I looked it up on the internet and I got a ton of stuff and how I could get it, how I could order it, and I just want to know a good website. So I'm going to show you one more good website to embrace, and this one is called drugfree.org. And it usually comes up this way, the partnership at drugfree.org. They have a parents page, they have where to get treatment, they talk about what it is to be in treatment and to be in recovery. They also tell you how to intervene and ask questions, where to seek help. And then this one is our Substance Abuse Task Force website. And we have really worked hard. We have, I have a person on staff that does nothing but create different things. We have a very large website. If you can't find it on our website, then we want to know about it because we want to put it there for you. And so you can just really find and you can connect to a lot of things. So I would encourage you to embrace using online technology. I do have what time are we at, Jana?
Okay, 7:12.
7:12. Okay, so let's see, there was one more website I wanted to go to. Let's go back to this, this one here, this partnership at drugfree.org. It talks about how to intervene. So they used to have big handouts, and if someone could grab the lights, I know we've got some handouts for you.
Want all of them now?
Yeah. There used to be a website called Time to Talk, and they used to have these flyers. A lot of websites are no longer having printable things on them because they're going to wanting to save a tree. That's the other thing, is that a lot of places are going green, where they don't want to print things off. I'm here to tell you that I personally killed a tree for you because I brought you some handouts. This is the Time to Talk toolkit. I love this toolkit. I will print this off, even though it is no longer available on the internet. I love this. I'm sorry that it didn't print the best, but it will say how to say it, and it will say preschool. How do you talk to preschools about taking care of their bodies and making good decisions? It goes right up to college age and young adults. Because some of us do have those 19-year-olds living in our home still, and we still need to be able to talk to them and help them understand that our rules are the rules, and their decisions and their actions are their decisions and their actions, but they can implicate the whole family. So this is a beautiful toolkit. I apologize that it's not in better shape, but it's no longer available on the internet. But it's a gift that I wanted you to have because it has for every age. And because we are watching 1.5 or living with 1.5-year-olds or taking care of small children all the way up to 27-year-olds. So that's something I wanted you to have. And this one is 8 ways to talk to your teen about drugs and alcohol. And yes, it's about teens, but it can be about middle schoolers. It can be about 5th graders. It can be something you can file away. I like this one, and I got this off this website that's up here. So I printed that one off for you. And I'll give the timing. I want to be mindful. Shelley, do they usually go right up to 7:30?
That says that's the end of the quarter after.
Okay. So,
have you hand things out, right? We want to hand out.
now, hopefully everybody has, we're going to just cover this up. I'm not have to worry about it. Oh, I forgot to go to a website. There is actually, this is bad planning on my part. There is one more website I want you to see. How many again said they had teenagers in the home? Okay.
For about 2 more weeks.
For 2 more weeks. Okay.
She keeps telling me.
You know, Liz, mine are only 11 and 12, but yet everyone refers to them as kids, but yet they're so smart, and when they have such the communication that they come across, it seems like they're teenagers.
Yes.
So I have to be real careful not to put them in that teenage role yet, because they still have young minds and still
Right. And that's a really good point, Debbie. There's a lot of us, I was just talking to, sure. My niece is about a year younger than my daughter, and her mom just now let her get a Facebook. And she got a lot of teasing about it. And we were talking, and some of the how old she's 16. And we were talking. I said, well, that's okay. It's not supposed to be for 9-year-olds. And somebody in the room said, well, my niece is 11 years old, and she has a Facebook, and she has a cell phone and an iPhone. I think we as parents have to realize that those are huge influences on our children's lives. And the minute we give them a portable source of technology, the minute the world opens up to many, many things for them, good and bad. Yes, they can call and say that they need to be picked up, or they can call and say that the bus is there at school and they need to be picked up from sports practice. But when you have a 12-year-old with a smartphone, you have to understand that they can also look up lots of things that may not be healthy or safe for them. So I just wanted to share this website. This is called AboveTheInfluence.com, and this is kind of where we took some of our information. This is actually a very youth-driven website. It is a national campaign, and it used to be free domain, and it still is for a while, but the Partnership for Drug-Free America has taken it over because the federal funding for it was cut. Many of us, including myself, were angry that the federal funding for this program got cut, because this was one of these things that was it's really popular with kids. Young people in high schools and middle schools love Above the Influence. And so I think we're going to run out of time, because what I had wanted to do with you was, it's going to show you, last year we did an activity with kids where we asked them to come up with a personal motto in 6 words or less. And so these are some that we came up with. This one says, refuse to sink. This one says, cream always rises to the top. That was her personal motto.
That's cute.
Yep. This one was, be yourself, not someone else. These were done by middle school and high school kids. This one says, be a leader, not a follower. And then this one says, love the life you live and live the life you love. So I have, this is going to be a homework assignment. There's not going to be any follow-up on it. I'm not going to hunt you down and find out if you did your homework. But I am going to give you one of these Be It posters. This is one of the Be It activities. And I thought this would be a kind of a neat thing for you to do with you can do it on your own, or you can do it with your kids. You can either think about, we were going to do this, and because we've had so much fun in this group, we kind of run tight on time. I wanted you to think about your personal motto or your personal theme in your life in 6 words or less. Or you could draw a word picture of your wishes for your family or things that you want to talk about with your kids. And so I'll let you have these, and you can take that home, because that's really something that would probably take us about 20 minutes, and we aren't at that point, and I don't want to keep anyone late. So you're welcome to take as many of those as you want. The way that we usually do that is you have a choice of coming up with your personal motto or creed in 6 words or less, or you can talk about ways that you can help the young people in your life be above the influence, and the wishes for your family. Now, one of the things I really want to talk about is how to talk to your kids about making better choices or staying substance-free. By and large, this Time to Talk toolkit is a tool for your toolbox. I could spend 25 minutes talking about it, but you can spend a few minutes reading it, and it will mean much more to you. I wish it were still available online, and I apologize that it's not. For some reason, the federal government took it off. It was an excellent resource for us. And it's great, you know, like for Deb, who's working in a doctor's office, this is a great resource for parents who might say, how do I explain to my kids that even though I may drink a beer, that we don't want them to drink beer because it's unsafe for them? And this will kind of talk about it. Has anybody in here ever played the card game? There's a card game that you can buy called Would You Rather. And there's all sorts of little decks of cards where they're conversation starters. Those cost a lot of money. So one of the things I always encourage people to do is get some index cards, just some cheap index cards, and have every person in the family come up with some conversation starters. Some examples of those, and it's really kind of fun for the family to write the questions, so I just would encourage you on the way home tonight, talk with, if you came with someone, if you didn't, think about 5 or 6 open-ended questions that you'd want to talk about tomorrow night at dinner. Maybe you don't sit down and eat dinner together, but maybe you sit down and you watch a TV show together. How many of you have the ability to pause your television show? You have a DVR and you can pause your television show. Okay. You can always shut it down. Okay. So, whatever your family style is, if you're one of those families that you sit down for dinner, just say on Wednesday night this week we're all going to play a game where we're going to each ask a question. So my family, we used to do this more when they were little, but we still do it, is we talk about what the first question usually is, what was the best part of the day. Everybody talk about the best part of the day, and we go around the table. And then the next question we might talk about, what was the worst part of your day? You can imagine what comes out of that. Tell me about the worst part of your day. And then usually one of the questions is, what would you do to make your day, what would you do if you could do it over? So, and these questions were made by my kids, and so we don't even have to have the cards anymore. And then something we learned, my husband and I learned a long time ago, was rather than me telling him what he needs to do better, and me telling him what he did wrong, and him telling me what I did wrong and what I need to do better, we learned a long time ago from the help of a friend, is that, and we use this with our kids, is that I say to my husband, one thing that you did today that I liked. And I'll say to my daughter, you know what, I really liked it today when you fed the dogs without me asking. And then I'll follow it up with one thing that I could do better. So that way I'm not pointing to the young person or my spouse and saying, you did that and that was awful. So I'll try to rephrase things into, thank you, I was really happy that when I came home from work today, the dishwasher was unloaded and you had done your homework. And one thing that I'm going to try to do better tomorrow is I'm going to try to get you, make sure we get out of the house a little earlier so you're not late. Because sometimes my kids are tardy and sometimes it's my fault. That's all I'm going to say. And sometimes they're tardy and it's not my fault. Someone else knows that feeling. So I think when we change how we talk to our kids and our spouse, and we maybe talk about one thing that I really like that you did and one thing that I could do better tomorrow, is they start to see that we're not perfect
Not
either.
so much nice.
Right. Exactly, Dana. It's really, instead of getting into that mode of saying, you went to bed late, you overslept, and now I'm late for work because you're late for school. We all have that garbage all day long, and we don't need it. We don't need to spread the garbage. We need to spread the frosting, because the frosting is so much better. So, and I just put together a little list. This is so much easier and so much harder than we think it is to talk to our kids. We just have to have that conversation. Not long ago, I think I mentioned to you about the Chinese dinner with my 19-year-old son. He asked me about my former substance use. And I've always been really open with my kids about my own history and my own past and growing up in the home that I grew up in. And he asked me some tough questions, and I didn't really want to answer them. So I said, I don't know if I want to answer that. I said, but I will. And so we had a real good conversation because I was honest. I didn't go into like the torrid details of my life because he didn't even know that. But I was honest and said, yeah, I made a decision one time and this happened. And he took it in such a way that he didn't see it as permission for him to make mistakes. He saw it as an honest transmission. This handout also talks about that. So rather than me talk about it and spend time on it, I'll just give you this handout and tell you how good it is a third time. I have 10 quick, I want to share this, and Jana, what time are we at? Because I definitely want to close on this.
25 after.
Oh, good. Okay, so one of my favorite things by Brian Tracy, he is a smart man. Would anybody like to read this top thing for us? Read it real loud so everybody can hear it. Okay.
Oh. We can choose to do more of certain things. We can choose to do less of certain things. We can choose to stop doing old things, and we can choose to start doing new things. Brian Tracy.
Yes. And he's also been known for saying it this way: do more, do less, stop and start. So I try, I don't make New Year's resolutions anymore because I fail at them miserably, but I do every year say, what am I going to do more of this year? Or what am I going to do more of today that I didn't do yesterday? What am I going to do less of? What can I choose to stop doing and what can I choose to start doing? This is a powerful thing because I've actually worked with kids in all ages and stages, and I'll look at them and I'll say, you can choose to stop doing what you're doing right now, and it might help things out. What could you choose to stop doing? When you give the kid a chance to say, well, I could stop throwing rocks at my brother, or I could stop picking on Susie, or I could stop picking on Brandon, or whatever it is, it really empowers them to say what they could do differently. And so I just encourage that. But I'm going to read my 10 quick parenting tips. Usually I like to have you folks read them. So would somebody read number 1 and then pick somebody to read number 2 and so on and so forth? Okay, Suey, I read number 1 for us.
Reach out. Get help when you need it. Professional help for substance abuse or mental health counseling is available locally. Counseling to help you be a better parent, stronger parent, is also available locally.
Okay. I think the world is a changing place, and I'm happy to say that I think people are willing to seek help when they need it more often. It's not, if we have a cold, we go to the doctor, or if we have influenza, we go to the doctor and we get some medication. If we are struggling emotionally or we're struggling mentally to get through something, we need to go to professionals and have them help us through that rough patch. And I've dedicated my life to it, and I feel very passionately that help is there. If you go to somebody and you don't like them, it's kind of like trying on jeans or bathing suits. If the first one doesn't fit, try on another. You find somebody who you really connect with, and they can really be a good help for you in trying times. Would you like to pick someone, Sue-Ann, to read number 2? Someone want to volunteer?
I will. Talk to your kids early and often. Start by talking about medicine safety. Keep meds and alcohol secure and out of the reach of children. Follow the directions on the medication, etc.
Okay, so Debbie, one of the things is that I often talk with my kids about how they weren't allowed to give themselves medication. I had to help them. So it's about setting some boundaries. This handout will talk about that. Younger children should be helped with their medication. Maybe you need to think about at what age will I let my kids take their own medication? Even if they're 16 or they're 12, do I want them to take Tylenol without me knowing about it? You'd be surprised about things we need to ask ourselves. Is it okay for my 11-year-old to take cough syrup when I don't know about it? Cough syrup, by the way, is a widely abused substance because kids can take too much of it and it changes how they feel. So you need to be thinking about these things. What are the rules that you have about medication? It's a good way to start. The other thing that I tell people is if you have adult beverages in the home, that's okay. We're adults. We can have adult beverages if we choose. If you are in the habit of leaving teenagers at home and you have adult beverages in the home, you need to monitor those. You need to know how many were there. You need to check it. I don't think my mom and dad ever figured out that their bottle of vermouth was 100% water. And that's because my brother and I put water in the vermouth bottle. They never figured it out, but I'm sure someday they got some vermouth for a martini and it was not vermouth. So monitor those things. Just because we got away with it doesn't mean that we need to let that happen. So we can be smarter, we can be stronger, we can monitor some things. And that's number 3. Who wants to read number 3? Okay.
Monitor, keep your eyes and ears open, look around, ask questions.
Yes. So I always tell my kids when they come home, they have to come in and kiss me goodnight. So I do that for a lot of reasons. One, because I love my kids and I want to hug them and get my hands on them, but I also want to smell their breath. Now, you didn't hear me say that, but I want to smell. Okay. Who wants to read number 4?
Be the parent first and friends second.
Yes. I looked at my son not too long ago and I said, I don't really care if you don't like me. You're going to be home at midnight.
Well, and then you see a lot of parents, they want to be, kids nowadays, they have enough friends. They need parents. They need guidance.
They do.
They need structure.
Yeah. Yeah. Who would like to read number 5?
Talk to your preteens and teenagers when you are riding and driving in the car with them. They're a captive audience. Ooh, I use that a lot.
It works.
Oh, yeah.
It works.
What are they going to do, jump out?
And then, exactly. And again, did I mention about this great handout? This might be where I would have some of those questions locked and loaded in my head. What do you think about, okay, I remember this was a big deal not too long ago, and it's relevant to my kids. Both my kids, we were in the car going somewhere, and I said, what do you think about Miley Cyrus? Now, my daughter was a Hannah Montana lover.
We talked about that this weekend, too.
Yeah. It went into a really great conversation. It went in all sorts of different areas. I just listened and asked some other open-ended questions. Do you think her agent is pushing her to act like that? Do you think she's out of control? Do you think she has a substance abuse problem, or do you think she's just trying to make money? It was really interesting to get some different perspectives. But it also got into the heart of some pretty deep matters. And it's a great conversation to have with a 11 or 12-year-old girl who might be watching that. Because they do see it. They see it on the internet. They see it on their smartphone. They see it from their friend's smartphone. Even if they don't have a smartphone from you, they're watching it at someone else's house. Who would, and on number 6, I already talked about those websites. Number 7, who would like to read that?
Oh, that's a good excuse.
Talk to other parents who you feel are positive, strong parents.
Yeah. I am not ashamed to tell you that I have some friends that I whine to all the time. They're part of my support network. You guys should have friends that are also in a similar situation, that are parenting or caregiving like you, and you can talk to them about what's going on. And you'll find out you're not alone. 10-year-olds in one house do the same thing as 10-year-olds in the next house, and 4-year-olds in this house might do what and we might think we're alone, but we really just need a support system. They're looking at me through the window and they're telling me, cut it, you're done. So number 8, role model the behavior you want to see in your children. Number 9 and number 10 are very near and dear to me. Listen to your kids. Communication equals talking and listening. And a lot of times we talk to our kids, but we don't listen to what they're telling us. So don't be afraid to say, wait a minute, tell me that again. Tell me, what are you saying? Can you repeat that? You know, make sure, just listen. Just really listen to what they're saying. And number 10, I'll leave you with this, is spend time with your children, the children in your lives, whether they're at a doctor's office or a daycare, or they're kids that live in your home. Just spend time with them, whatever their age. Play game cards, color something with them, you know, sit down and eat Cheerios with them and just talk about their day. It's time that we will treasure forever. So I want to thank you. You guys were awesome. Thanks for spending an hour and a half with me. And is there anything, if you want to talk to me afterwards, I'll certainly be available.